meditate on the Divine Lord and pray for the well-being of the mankind. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Om Stapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmaswarupine Stapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmaswarupine Avatar Varishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namah Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us bow down to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. In the last two classes we have discussed the topic, the gateway to liberation. Today I am taking a new topic, that is Vedanta, the light of knowledge. As long as we are in bondage, we are in darkness. As long as we suffer in this world for whatever reason, we are in darkness. So, the more we involve in the world, the more we involve in its activities, the more we burden ourselves with the worldly things, we are in darkness. As long as we are in darkness, we are bound to have problems and problems. Problems creating more problems. Chain action. No end of problems. And we keep on struggling, trying to solve the problems. But it is not possible to solve all the problems, since the problems are too many and the lifespan is not enough to solve the problems. So it should make us think, what's the way out of this? If you begin to probe this, then you have got the real solution to the problems. If you become aware that you are in darkness, then you try to bring light. So, Vedanta is that supreme light which dispels all darkness in whatever shade, in whatever form it is. Everyone has that light. in one's own heart. But that light is covered up by the cloud of impurities. So we are moving in the dark. So Vedanta declares, know your true nature. Then, once you realize your true nature, then you are no more in darkness. That is the very uplifting message of Vedanta. You have to realize your true nature. But such knowledge is impossible without the renunciation of ego. Ego is the stumbling block. Sri Ramakrishna compares this ego to a stick that seems to divide the water in two. It makes you feel that you are one and I am another. But when the ego disappears in samadhi, then one knows Brahman to be one's own inner consciousness. That is why people aspire for samadhi. Samadhi is a state where you are blessed by the grace of the Supreme Light, which removes all darkness. Once you enter into samadhi, there is no more darkness. Sri Ramakrishna tells, like the akasha, the space, the infinite space, Brahman is without any modification. Brahman is limitless. That's why Brahman is infinite. He is everywhere. It has become manifest. It has become manifold because of Shakti. The Brahman is manifesting himself through its power. And Sri Ramakrishna tells, Brahman is like fire, which itself has no color. The fire appears white if you throw a white substance into it. Red if you throw a red. Black if you throw a black. The three gunas, the attributes, sattva, rajas and tamas, which are operating in everyone's mind, they belong to Shakti alone. They belong to this power of Brahman. Brahman itself is beyond the three gunas. What Brahman is cannot be described. It is beyond words. That which remains after everything is eliminated by the Vedantic process of not this, and which is of the nature of bliss, is Brahman. So once we attain that realization, we become perpetually happy. Even when you approach Brahman, In that process itself, you experience immense peacefulness, immense calmness, and immense joy. It is not a dry thing. It is not that you are lost in confusion. There is no confusion. Confusion is here. As long as you are in the darkness, there is bound to be confusion. When there is light, how can you expect any confusion? Now today I am just giving the introduction to my topic, which I am elaborating probably in the next class also. We are all born into this world. We are having a body. So one cannot get rid of body consciousness as long as one is attached to worldly things, as long as one loves the pleasures of the world. As long as one wants to taste the pleasures of the world more and more, that means he becomes more and more attached, he becomes more and more involved, and he cannot get into the abode of Brahman. So what's the way? He should become less and less attached to worldly things, less and less desire to enjoy. Thereby, you lose attachment towards the worldly things and you approach nearer and nearer to the knowledge of the self. What we call in Sanskrit Atman. Atman. That's the light. Everyone has that light. In one of the Upanishads, it is very nicely described that light is dwelling in everyone's heart of the size of the thumb. It is blue in color, that light, and yogis can see it. And they have seen it. That's what they have told. This is the hymn discovered by a rishi in his tapas. So, when he wants to come closer to self, he becomes less and less conscious of his body. If you see Sri Ramakrishna's life, how many times Sri Ramakrishna would lose his body consciousness. Whenever anybody would come to him, he would ask that person to sing a bhajan. When he starts singing, even one syllable is enough for Sri Ramakrishna to raise his mind to the highest level. He loses all outward consciousness. He is not aware of his body. He transcends the realm of the world, enters into spiritual realm. Then he realizes that body and soul are two separate things. Again, Sri Ramakrishna explains it by an analogy. It is very difficult to separate with a knife the kernel of a coconut from the shell before the milk inside has dried. When the milk dries up, the kernel rattles inside the shell. At that time, it loosens itself from the shell. Then the fruit is called a dry coconut. We call it as copra. The sign of a man's having realized God is that he has become like a dry coconut. He is in the body, no doubt, but he is separate from the body. He is well aware of that fact. He is no more attached to the body in the sense worldly people are attached. He doesn't feel happy or unhappy with the happiness or unhappiness of the body. He doesn't seek the comforts of the body. On the other hand, he loves to be austere. He roams about in the world as one liberated in life. Nothing bothers him. He is always cheerful and happy, full of eternal bliss. When you find that the very mention of God's name brings tears in your eyes and makes your hair stand on end, then you will know that you have freed yourself from attachment to the pleasures of the world. Then you will attain God. And Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of matchbox. If the matches are dry, you get a spark by striking only one of them. But if they are damp, you don't get a spark even if you strike 50. You only waste matches. Similarly, if your mind is soaked in the sensate pleasures of the world, then God consciousness will not be kindled in you. That question will not arise. You won't feel like coming to God at all, because all the time you are preoccupied with external things. You may try 1,000 times, but all your efforts will be futile, just as a damp matchstick. But no sooner does attachment to worldly pleasure dry up, than the spark of God flashes forth. That's the terrible Maya everybody is facing with. That's how the game is going on. We find people are not really happy. Though they assume that posture, they seem to be happy, they seem to be wonderful, but not truly. Because all the time they are occupied with intense activity. Even 24 hours are not sufficient for a day. But there is no depth to their lives. There is no compelling orientation to their existence. They move in ruts. They follow habits and conventions handed down to them, or that they themselves have built up in imitation of others. If some people take to spiritual practices, the first thing is that aspirant should face the opposition, people in the world. They put all sorts of obstruction. They tell it's all right, but don't give more time to thinking of God. Then you will lose all taste in the life of the world. So don't do that, like that the people say. Though they suffer, still they want others also to follow their own way. Like people caught in a maelstrom, it's a big catastrophe. They are being carried away helplessly by the tide of time. If before the final submergence we halt a bit and take stock of what we have done with our life, we invariably draw a blank. Apart from the hodgepodge of material possessions we have painfully acquired and the chimerical fame that might be temporarily attached to our name, we discover that our life has been hollow, it has no significance. We have all through life energetically pursued pleasures and sensate values under the unexamined impression that we are thereby enriching life. But at the end of the race, we realize that all these are but a vanity and vexation of the spirit. They bring us no abiding peace. A mirage in the desert may look fascinating, but to go chasing it is to court frustration. There's a famous scripture in Vedanta. It's called Yoga Vasishtha. It says, of what avail to a thirsty man is a mirage, even if it is expanding. This was the truth to which Nachiketas, a young, robust, spirited brahmacharin, drew Yama's attention, the god of death. He said, this young boy said to Yama, all these tempting pleasures are utterly transient and serve only to debilitate the senses. You can keep yourself your chariots, songs and dances. I don't want them. The fact is that our senses are outgoing. Eyes see outside, ears hear outside, mind goes outside, everything external. The Lord created the senses with an outward impulsion, and so man looks only out and not within. We are molded as extroverts, so we frantically seek truth, goodness and beauty in the external world. And we are nonplussed when we find that the outer world can only tempt and not satisfy. In chasing the ever-receding horizon of sensate values, we forget how precious a gift human life is. Through rare good fortune, we have been born as men and women. Unlike other animals, we have the equipment and the capacity to think and feel. An animal is a helpless victim of nature's prances. When nature frowns by way of fire or flood, drought or disease, the animal can do nothing but die. Man, on the contrary, using his intelligence has been able to control nature and bend it to his own purposes. All the glittering civilization and fascinating culture we have built up are the result of the exercise of the human mind. If we miss this life of such great promise, we don't know in what species we may be reborn. It is not guaranteed you are a human being now, in the next birth also you will be a human being. No guarantee. So it behoves each of us to aspire for the highest and attain it in the very life. Unfortunately, we are using our intelligence like angry apes. Shankaracharya, the great exponent of Vedanta, he asks Tatakim, Tatakim, a famous verse. What then, what then? What if we are able to dress better, reside in better houses, consume marvelous food, indulge in wondrous entertainments, travel with astonishing velocity into space, and communicate right across the world with lightning speed? What then? The spectre of the 9 o'clock news hangs overhead like a sword of Damocles. Thanks to nuclear bombs and poison gases, any moment the press of a button by a crank in authority may wipe off mankind from the face of the earth. So, we are living in such dangerous environment where people are just rushing externally, groping in the darkness, not able to turn inward, becoming more and more involved in the worldly matters. So, as long as we are in this situation, we are in darkness. Everyone has to struggle. One has to bring light unto oneself. So, Vedanta, the light of knowledge, that is the inspiring message that inspires our life, that gives hope to our life. And through that light, we will be able to attain absolute freedom, peace and bliss. I will continue the same subject in the next class also. Page 632. A Brahma devotee said, "Sir, suppose a man has thought of God at other times during his life, but at the time of his death forgets him. Would he on that account come back to this world of sorrow and suffering? Why should it be so? He certainly thought of God sometime during his life." Sri Ramakrishna answered, "A man thinks of God, no doubt, but he has no faith in Him. Again and again he forgets God and becomes attached to the world. It is like giving the elephant a bath. Afterwards he covers his body with mud and dirt again. The mind is a mad elephant. But if you can make the elephant go into the stable, immediately after bathing him, then he stays clean. Just so, if a man thinks of God in the hour of death, then his mind becomes pure and it gets no more opportunity to become attached to lust and gold. Man has no faith in God. That's the reason he suffers so much. They say that when you plunge into the holy waters of Ganga, your sins perch on the tree on the bank. No sooner do you come out of the water after the bath than the sins jump back on your shoulders. Allah. A man must prepare the way beforehand so that he may think of God in the hour of death. The way lies through constant practice. If a man practices meditation on God, he will remember God even on the last day of his life. Brahma devotee said, "You have spoken very beautifully, sir." Beautiful words indeed. Master said, "Oh, this is just idle talk. But do you know my inner feeling? I am the machine and God is the operator. I am the house and He is the inverer. I am the engine and He is the engineer. I am the chariot and He is the charioteer. I move as He moves me. I do as He makes me do." Presently, Trilokya began to sing to the accompaniment of drums and cymbals. Sri Ramakrishna danced intoxicated with divine love. Many times he went into samadhi. He stood still, his eyes fixed, his face beaming, with one hand on the shoulder of a beloved disciple. Coming down a little from the state of ecstasy, he danced again like a mad elephant. Regaining consciousness of the outer world, he improvised lines to the music. "O Mother, dance about thy devotees. Dance thyself and make them dance as well. O Mother, dance in the lotus of my heart. Dance, O thou, the ever-blessed Brahman. Dance in all thy world-bewitching beauty." An indescribable scene, the exquisite and celestial dance of a child, completely filled with ecstatic love of God, and identified heart and soul with the Divine Mother. The Brahma devotees danced around the Master again and again, attracted like iron to a magnet. In ecstatic voices, they chanted the name of Brahman. Again, they chanted the name of the Divine Mother. Many of them wept like children, crying, "Mother, Mother." When the music was over, the devotees of the Master sat down. Although it was about 8 o'clock in the evening, worship of the Brahma Samaj had not yet begun. In the joy of this divine music, they had forgotten all about their formal worship. Vijay, who was to conduct the evening service, sat facing the Master. His mother-in-law and the other Brahmo ladies wanted to see Sri Ramakrishna, so the Master went to meet them in another room. After a time, the Master came back and said to Vijay, "What devotion to God your mother-in-law has." About the worldly life, she said to me, "Oh, you need not tell me about the world. No sooner does one wave disappear than another rises up." But I said, "What is that to you?" "You have knowledge." She replied, "Where is my knowledge? I have not been able to go beyond Vidyamaya and Avidyamaya. It won't help me much to go beyond just the illusion of ignorance. I shall have to transcend the illusion of knowledge as well. Only then shall I have true knowledge of God." I am quoting your own words. While they were talking, Benny Paul, their host, entered the room. Benny said to Vijay, "Sir, please get up. It is already late. Please begin the worship." Vijay said, "What further need is there of worship? I find that according to your arrangement, the rice pudding is served first and then the soup and other dishes." Master said with a smile, "The devotees provide offerings according to their temperaments. The Sattvic devotee offers the deity simple rice pudding, and the Rajasic devotee 50 different dishes. The Tamasic devotee slaughters goats and other animals. Vijay began to hesitate about going to the platform to conduct the worship. He said to the master, I shall conduct the worship from the platform only if you give me your blessings. Master said, it will be all right if you don't feel any egotism. If you don't have the vain feeling, I am giving a lecture. Listen to me. What begets egotism? Knowledge or ignorance? It is only the humble man who attains knowledge. In a low place, rainwater collects. It runs down from a mound. A man achieves neither knowledge nor liberation as long as he has egotism. He comes back and again in the world, to the world. The calf bellows, hamba hamba. That is I. That's why it suffers such agony. The butcher slaughters it, and the shoemaker makes shoes from its hide. Besides, its hide is used for the drum, which is beaten mercilessly. Still no end to its misery, as at long last a carding machine is made from its entrails. While carding the cotton, the machine makes the sound tuhu tuhu, that is dau dau. Then the poor calf is released from all suffering. It is no longer says hamba hamba, but repeats tuhu tuhu. The calf says as it were, O God, thou art the doer and I am nothing. Thou art the operator and I am the machine. Thou art everything. 3 words, master, teacher and father, prick me like thorns. I am the son of God, his eternal child. How can I be a father? God alone is the master and I am his instrument. He is the operator and I am the machine. If somebody addresses me as Guru, I say to him, go away, you fool. How can I be a teacher? There is no teacher except Chidananda. There is no refuge except him. He alone is the ferryman to take one across the ocean of the world. To Vijay he said, it's very difficult to act as an acharya. It harms the acharya himself. Finding a number of men doing him reverence, he sits erect, crossing his legs, and says proudly, I am preaching, hear ye all. This is a very hard attitude. This is a very bad attitude. He gets a little prestige and it ends there. People will say at most, Vijay Baba has spoken very well. He knows a great deal. Never cherish the attitude, I am preaching. I always say to the Divine Mother, O Mother, thou art the operator and I am the machine. I do as thou makest me do. I speak as thou makest me speak. We shall stop here. So, any question for discussion? Do you have any? So Vedanta is the light. That is the subject that I have chosen. Vedanta is the light. True light. Real light. Uplifting light. Light that liberates one from suffering. Light that takes you towards peace and contentment. So that is the spiritual light, always ever shining in our heart. So we have to spend some time sincerely to see that light. Days are passing away. Time is running on. We are becoming older and older. We don't know when the soul leaves the body. So, before anything could happen, we should try to see the light. Before we pass away from this body, we should be at least definite of what path we are following. The spiritual path is the only real path which guarantees peace and bliss. No other way. No other way. No more question? All right, we shall conclude. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean, and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within. Own name streamed down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself, O self, drowned deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord. In each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy. How huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue. The playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Oh, how I long for the day when the instant separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the free make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.